Today's episode of the Writers' Room Game Show is brought to you by MusicBed. With MusicBed, you get access to higher quality music than any other music resource. That means instead of thousands of variations on dubstep by some guy in his parents' basement, or what I can only describe as clown funeral music, you get real stuff you would listen to in real life. Great musicians, bands, and composers who pour their hearts into their work and wear cool hats and tight jeans. But Seth, I don't have $1 million to spend on music. I better stick with one of those other companies. Well, listen here, you big wrong person. MusicBed subscription allows you to have unlimited access to their amazing roster of artists for one monthly or yearly fee based on what kind of work you do. That's right. If you're making personal shorts or web-based ads, your fee is going to be way less than if you're making Super Bowl spots. And even if you are making Super Bowl spots, MusicBed's pricing and library are an absurdly great sight to behold. Ryan and I use it, you probably use it, and if you don't, go use coupon code GAMESHOW at checkout to receive your first month free when you purchase an annual subscription and start unlocking your film's full potential. You owe it to yourself and us. You owe us. Go do this.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Seth.
And welcome back to the Writers' Room Game Show. It's the podcast where every week we generate an original feature film idea from scratch in under 60 minutes, working from Reddit.
Working from Reddit? Reddit's here? I love Reddit.
She's our guest today. It's the podcast where every week we generate an original feature film idea from scratch in under 60 minutes, working from a set of random prompts given to us by a big Hollywood studio.
At the beginning of every episode, the studio, which is actually just an iPhone shortcut, assigns us, the contestants, a new project consisting of 4 components: a genre, the tone, the demographic, and a studio mandate, and which is basically just a random thing the studio is requiring.
We then have 1 hour to develop a feature film idea that fits the assigned criteria, with surprise roadblocks along the way.
Surprise roadblocks, watch out for them. I'm done. That's my song.
Surprise roadblocks. Watch
Oh,
out
I have
for
a line.
them.
That's right. At the end of the episode, we'll focus group the idea with one of our talented friends and ask them actual dumb focus group questions. And this season, we will have a points system to determine whether we really are winners or losers.
Point system!
Point system! If they answer positively and give us all the points, we win and run around in the money. We run around in it. We're stronger this year, faster, stronger. And we do that for 8 hours.
We dive into the money like Scrooge McDuck.
And survive.
And if they answer negatively, we quit screenwriting altogether and do it again the following week. And that's about it. Everybody, welcome. Season 2 of the Writers' Room Game Show. We made it. We made it to a second season, Seth.
My wife is very frustrated that we said we were, we gave like a marker, like a milestone for this is the end of season 1. And then every week I'm like, did you listen to this week's episode? She's like, I thought you ended a season.
We can just leave people with a month without our podcast ever setting them up like that.
No. You get people used to a certain lifestyle. You need to keep them, fed.
Yeah, it's like you watch a Netflix show, you binge it in 2 days, and then you got to wait, a year for season 2. For us,
we're better than Netflix.
We've got 10 episodes.
That premium content.
We literally launched in July and it's October and we already have more episodes. So, season 2, apparently our seasons only last a few months. I'm happy with it because we've got
a new movie every week. That's better than Netflix can do.
Yeah, we've got an upgrade. We've got, a point system now. We got some other fun surprises. Season 3 is going to
cameras that I just remembered right when we started. When I pulled up the Zoom. We pull up the Zoom and Polly looks like gold, just pure diamonds and jewels is what Polly looks like. Just a big pile of jewels.
We talked about possibly for the YouTube version of the show to have actually video podcasts, which may or may not be happening right. You may be seeing us on YouTube. It better be happening.
Look at us. See, we open it up and Polly's got this neon Weekend Video logo behind him. He's got this like balsa wood tribute to the gods of 70s paneling.
What can I say, Seth?
Is that a turnstile of DVDs?
No, it's my comic books. But
soon we will
have some VHS tapes back then. You know what? Weekend Video, I thought, plot devices has been talked about enough on this podcast. We're really going to make a statement with this Weekend Video neon sign.
I love it. I need to get a plot devices neon sign.
I know, you really
Meanwhile, I'm in here on my stupid Razer Kaio cam, whatever this little doodad is, and I'm like,
Seth.
I can't. I have to look somewhat as interesting as you, which is never going to happen in my entire life. I open up my drawer and I've got my DSLR with a half-charge battery I've set up that's going to absolutely die the second the timer starts. And then I turned on my Philips Hue lights to be roughly the color palette of a YouTube video. And here we are.
I think you look great, and you've got your neon.
I think you look great.
You've got ET back there, and you know what? We're trying something in season 2, and season 3 is probably going to have the biggest change. We can't reveal what's happening in season 3 yet, but
it's so funny. We have seasonal arc. We have like a whole multi-season arc for this show planned. People think we're joking. We actually have very big plans for season 3.
And between season 2 and 3, we're going to reveal something so fun. And I think it's going to change everyone's lives. But maybe later we'll talk about it and reveal it. In the meantime, a convenient phone call. Let me answer that. Hello? Hey, studio. Yeah, it's good to talk to you too. Season 2, I know. Yeah, it hasn't been that long. I talked to you last week, actually. But, okay, yeah. All right, we'll check our email. Thanks. Bye. So good to hear from them.
So, okay. We're looking today.
Oh, I'm seeing it right now. Interesting.
Hey, yeah, they sent it, they emailed both of us. All right, the studio is season 2 coming in with a bang. So, we're going to be writing. The genre we've been assigned is a cyber thriller. The tone is inspiring. It must be an inspiring cyber thriller.
So freaking funny.
The target is fans of Buster Keaton. And the mandate is the studio wants an R rating. So this must be a R-rated inspiring R-rated cyber thriller for fans of Buster Keaton. I got to write this down.
The Writers' Room game show has begun.
It has begun. What?
So cyber thriller.
Cyber thriller, baby.
I'm really excited. Now, how do we determine cyber thriller? Is this like floppy disk espionage cyber thriller, like Mission Impossible 1 or The Net or hackers, or is this like Johnny Mnemonic?
I immediately went to Johnny Mnemonic and The Matrix.
Is it?
Which immediately tells me that Keanu Reeves is the star of our cyber thriller.
Yep. Well, I mean, no, let's not say that because I don't want to rule out a new kind of Johnny Mnemonic cyber thriller.
I was thinking something like Solo, the Mario Van Peebles action thriller.
I don't know if anyone followed this, but Polly and I since looked up that Solo. I don't know what episode it was we talked about this.
Yeah, I forget.
The Notes Call episode?
Yes, that's got to be what it was. Yeah.
Okay, and we looked up Mario Van Peebles' Solo, which is the name of the film. And it's not a Star Wars story. It's even better. And Paul and I have decided we definitely absolutely want to adapt that or make a Lego sequel that is purely a comedy, just straight up.
At some point.
Starring Mario Van Peebles.
AI, robot, how would you use it? Like a RoboCop type guy that
who can only flip,
develops a conscience. But the whole trailer, he's just flipping around unnecessarily.
I mean, there is no justification for it. I thought long and hard about it.
He's in like Vietnam during a war zone and explosions are going off. He's just backflipping through the scene.
Oh my God. So cyber thriller, I'm going to look up some cyber thrillers besides Johnny Mnemonic because as much I'm very familiar with the Johnny Mnemonic poster and that's it.
I've never seen the full movie. I've watched clips of the hacking scenes in that movie and it's so funny.
Well, and I've heard the How Did This Get Made episode about it, but the best cyber thrillers, top10films.co.uk is going to tell us. Number 10 is The Net. Yeah. Number 10 is The Net, which to me is like one of the top floppy disk espionage movies.
I love that subgenre you're describing.
I didn't make it up. Stu Maschwitz made up the
floppy disk espionage.
And it's my favorite. You got Sneakers, Hackers, Mission Impossible 1, The Net.
Putting Hackers and Mission Impossible 1 in the same sentence is pretty funny.
You got to.
It's a similar thing, but completely different tones and going about that.
I'm realizing this list isn't really the top. This list is called the best cyber thrillers, and yet I think it's more just
The only
it should
cyber
just be
thrillers?
called Some Cyber Thrillers or All the Cyber Thrillers, because we've got The Net, we've got Hackers, then we've got Swordfish, which is worth watching for the scene where Hugh Jackman escapes Don Cheadle and crew by falling down a mountain. And they jump and follow him. I've got to send you that clip on the podcast. People have to hear you respond to this. I'm sorry. This is important.
I haven't seen Swordfish in so long. I only remember the color and how high contrast, like bleach bypass it was.
That's everything. That's every movie
but
from
especially,
that period.
But especially Swordfish.
But I'm putting this in the chat, and you have to, while I'm listing out the names of the best cyber thrillers, you have to watch this clip.
Okay, clicking the link.
Actually, no, just describe this clip as you watch it.
Well, let me open it. Okay, I'm copy and pasting it. Here we go. Swordfish. Hugh Jackman falling down. Here we go. Actually, it's going to play. The audio is going to play, so people can hear it. Chasing him downstairs. Oh no, he's looking down. Here he goes. He jumps.
The music is possibly one of the best things that glues the whole thing together. Describe what's happening.
They follow him down the cliff, and they're falling down. He says, "Oh shit," and then he follows. Holy crap. They're just falling down the cliff together.
That's all they're doing. They're just breaking every bone in their body.
Oh my gosh. It keeps going.
Now, I think the clip I sent you does loop it, but even unlooped, it's still a
now they've
sight
hit
to
a tarp.
behold.
They're sliding down the tarp. Oh, nope.
Oh,
back
yeah.
to mountain. Oh my god.
And then if you scroll to the end, I don't know if it includes the conclusion of the scene, but Hugh Jackman gets up and is promptly hit by a moving vehicle.
Yep. the thing about that, he falls down this cliff for like 2 minutes and then he gets up and runs.
And then gets hit by a car.
He gets hit by a car. And that's what makes him fall.
And it's like they're all like, "Whoa, we better catch this guy." Down the mountain we go. And the music is just this it's just this swirling, falling.
And the fact that Don Cheadle follows him and then his partner is like, "Oh shit." And then he does it too. It's like,
I have no other choice.
You could have just waited it out, man. Oh man.
All right, so Swordfish.
Now that has taken up 5 minutes of our episode.
Welcome to season 2, everybody. Untraceable. I don't remember this one. Chat Room. Existenz. That's definitely a cyber thriller. Fortress.
I've seen like 3 of these.
War Games.
Oh, War Games. Classic.
Enemy of the State, which rules.
Okay, that's a cyber thriller. So anything that has sort of like a computer or AI or like is becoming sentient or
yeah,
because that's like, War Games, the computer, what would you call it? Would you call that artificial intelligence? That is
oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So yeah, that could be fun. And I honestly, I kind of like leaning into like 80s or 90s with this.
You know what, man? Let's do this.
Because
I've wanted to do
that technology is
like
so much more fun to me.
I've wanted to do like an Ocean's 11, but with like sneakers, how was that left off of there?
For some reason, I group Hackers and Sneakers together, even though completely different films, completely
They're
different
very
age
different
ranges.
films and very different in quality, and very different in generation as well.
Yes, that's in age groups. But for some, I think it's just the fact that it's just the wording of the title. For some reason, they always go together in my mind.
Probably. Well, what's great about Sneakers is that it leaves one. It's dated and it sets place in a specific period of time, but it's also not. It's not trying to be cool in any way. It's like definitely a dad thriller.
The cast is so good too.
The cast is so good. So let's talk about so a cyber thriller just has to involve like a computer and an AI and
inspiring. So we want to make sure it's going to leave people with a
hope.
Hope. We want to do better for the world.
I feel like we already wrote this. We did this with Delete Your Account.
That's true. It's our cyber thriller. But fans of Buster Keaton. So I feel like
that's tricky.
Buster Keaton, the great thing about obviously silent films of Buster Keaton, he's like the original Jackie Chan, like that really,
100%.
really fun action comedy, putting your body at risk, but doing these really funny, interesting stunts, really.
And it's all the presentation of them too. The fact that they're shot in a way that, well, for one, like they had to be done in camera. There was no other way, but they're also shot in a very, because of the style of the times, in a very unassuming style. And so very much like, I mean, Jackie Chan's such a great reference because like, it's like camera is set up and it's pointed at him and it's just going to capture everything he does. Like he is
really simple pans and tilts and that's about it. Yeah.
The spectacle is in him. He's the spectacle.
So what if
how do you do that with a cyber thriller?
I was going to say if the thriller element, if there's, some thriller, but we have, obviously we saw Swordfish. That's there's even opportunity for physical comedy with people falling down this cliff.
Wow, you brought it together, dude. You brought that home.
But what if we have our cyber thriller and we have these little set pieces throughout the film that are reminiscent of these classic Buster Keaton set pieces, but with instead of a house falling down or him on a train, maybe it's something to do with our computers. So maybe we even homage back to classic Buster Keaton scenes with him. What was it the train one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
What movie is that? Is it The General?
It was either The General or it was Steam. No, it wasn't Steamobile. It would have been The General. That's where he's on the front of the train.
Yeah, he's on the front of the train. Like, what if there's like even element where there's like a AI or computer that's taking control of different. Now I'm thinking of that Die Hard, Live Free or Die
Eagle
Hard.
Eye. It's Eagle like Eagle Eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, where it's like the computer systems are taking control of these different. We just lost. We lost Seth's camera.
Oh, it's back.
Okay, we're good. But yeah, it's taking control of trains and planes and
automobiles.
And stoplights and all these different things, and we have this opportunity for a lot of fun, even like microwaves and like different devices like that, for opportunity for these fun set pieces that are Buster Keaton, Jackie Chan-esque, where it's like almost could play
like
as a silent
smart
movie.
Yeah, like smart devices. And I'm gonna give a shout out to my friend Ryan DeGiorgi, who is he's a producer on the Magic. Hello from the Magic Tavern podcast. He is a director at Jackbox Games. He's Ryan's brilliant, and I don't know if he listens to this podcast or not, but he's continues to be one of like my biggest inspirations because he's just since high school he's been one of the funniest human beings I've ever met and one of the most clever writers. When we were making shorts and like films and stuff in high school, he made one called Blender Agenda with his then writing partner. Logan, I'm blanking on Logan's last name, which I'm sorry, Logan. They made a short called Blender Agenda that was about this like mad scientist who like somehow causes like household devices to come to life and attack. It was basically the mall scene from Mitchell's versus the Machines, but made as like a Sam Raimi horror movie, and it was
incredible.
It was delightful. I just wanted to give him a shout out because I'm absolutely going to be stealing from him. I like the idea. So we're talking about like some kind of AI, something in the system that takes control of. What's funny about the Buster Keaton stuff is that it's like one guy and it's like an escalation of a certain situation in physical comedy. Like, could you tell it like a cyber thriller like this that starts small and spreads some guy creates an AI of some kind that's meant to be some smart assistant, not to make it a comedy, but like. And it's like, I know that it can't spread like a disease, like slowly, but the idea that like, if you can put it in a situation where it's like unlocking a certain area of something
what if it's also, I'm thinking of Buster Keaton, it's that sort of that silly, lighthearted feel to a lot of his characters too. What if our character was like a guy or gal that is almost like, what's his name? And Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the dad.
Wayne Selinsky?
Yes. Where there's sort of like a silly like inventor type, and they're working on something that's really, or maybe that doesn't go with the cyber thriller vibe. But
no. Keep going, because I do like the idea of like, we're going to make a cyber thriller no matter what. So let's make an interesting, relatable, grounded, comical character.
Yeah, and they're working on something that might be like, with their tone, inspiring, something that might be good for the community or the environment, or even just like something that's sort of lighthearted for kids or something. I don't know. And there's some sort of code he puts in, or something that a revolutionary thing that they put in like the code, and that starts like the spread of this thing that it's making these objects and devices go wrong.
Could you put them in like a contained? Because I was trying to think, like, if you make like a virus AI or something, it's going to immediately, if it gets on the internet, it's everywhere. It's like it's instantaneous. So what if you put it in a controlled environment, like a laboratory or something like that, or a compound?
Also, if we're in like 90s and it's like AOL style internet, it might take a little longer.
Oh, if we're in 90s, that's true. But I was thinking, like, if you had them in like in a compound, there could be established various levels or barriers of security. And so it's like, like in Die Hard, the whole time they're like, it's like, we got through the first layer of the vault. Now we got through the second door, or the second lock of the vault, and the third. If it all takes place in this one compound, and the virus is making its way out of like each individual like security protocol, like barrier, and like he's trying to stop it before it gets out of the building.
That's good.
Essentially.
Yeah.
That gives us a little bit of a
and it gives us a fun cyber thriller kind of atmosphere, depending on what the compound looks like and feels like. It could be a very like Jurassic Park-esque like HQ, like these old school computers and like.
I think to call it a cyber thriller, we just need blinky lights, and we need to look like my office does right now, but just with like more blinky lights and like like it makes no sense. Yeah. And all the computers need to go bleep, 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 whenever people are typing on keys.
Exactly. Okay, well, I like that. And maybe what's one... I know we have our cyber thriller genre, but with also the inspiring sort of tone, maybe there's some sort of relationship this character has with someone that we can tie into the device they're making, or maybe they're trying to stop this to help a certain character. I'm just trying to think of relationships that we could play up in this movie to kind of give it some more inspiring kind of feel. Because even Mitchell's versus the Machines, I'll just go back to that reference because you just made it, which is all about, AI, robots, technology taking over the world. But the center of it is just about, family and, a dad and a daughter, rekindling their relationship. So I'm wondering if there's something like that for our inspiring tone that we could have in addition to the A story, which is stopping the AI.
This might be a terrible idea, but what if the inspiration... What about this? What if the main character... I don't know if it's the main character or if it's just like the goal. What if the thing that they create is some kind of... This is going to show my ignorance in this area of technology. Like, what's the term for like a prosthetic limb that is more than prosthetic? It's like mechanical. It's like robotic. Not bionic, is it? Like...
It might be, yeah. Bionic arm.
And how does that work? Is that actually connected to like nerves in your body, or is it just like...
I don't know enough about this.
I don't either. So that's what I'm getting at is like, what if the technology is something that literally is like a wiring from your brain into a piece of tech, like, and it's meant for...
That's cool. That's very cyber thriller.
Yeah, isn't it? And it's meant for like bionic limbs. It's meant to like help those with disabilities, right?
Yeah. I like that a lot.
And so, and it'd be cool if the main character had a disability, or if like many of the main characters had disabilities, and
if there's a whole squad of them, like at the office, that all these people with unique characteristics and like almost
and
like
you actually were able to cast an entire like cast of actors that had disabilities, like primarily. That could be really cool. And the idea is like the bad version of this is like if you could basically establish a connection from your brain to like into a USB port, not literally, but into like a other technology. What else could you control with your brain? It gets a little bit superhero-y, but like what else could you because like it gets a little super villainy, but like, could you control like a crane? Could you control a bulldozer? Could you control, like, and that's where I think the fun could be, and we can make a bunch of. Maybe this is like, I'm imagining like an Aperture Labs kind of setting. This like compound we've created is like,
yes, I love that. The cake is alive, by the way.
The cake is always alive. It is always alive. I said alive. That's a different story. Portal 2, the greatest game ever made. Now I want Stephen Merchant to be in this. If you had like like different areas of this lab, it was basically like this Acme warehouse of anything we wanted. You could do like, there could be like a whole like crash test dummy like area where like the cars are, driven straight into walls and such, like, or where they use to test out whatever the various versions, like iterations and versions of like connecting your brain to machinery or to like technology of some kind. We can make a room for it or a level for it or a warehouse for it,
So they're making their way through.
Yeah.
And these devices are becoming sentient as you go through the, I love that.
Fun.
I forgot. Season 2, the wild cards coming at random times. We're only 20 minutes in.
And there could be multiple, right?
Let me see what we got.
So just to establish this, there could be multiple studio mandates per episode, and there could be none. They're going to happen at any random point in the episode, not just halfway through.
Seth, I got the wild card. Did you get the wild card?
I did.
It's not looking good. I've got the papers here, but no challenge that we can't overcome, right?
The story must center around knitting.
All right, so we have a cyber knitter.
The story must center around knitting. So they're just need this is it. This is like, we've already established this cool idea of like enhancing those with disability, like enhancing lives of those with disabilities with this kind of technology. And what if the thing that's motivating the main character, who is like the lead scientist on this or something, has to do with some story of like his mother or his wife or his daughter and knitting, or the inability to, or it's really cliche, but you could have the story technically center around it by having it be what motivated him all along to create this.
I love it, dude. That's an easy way for us to keep our story and have some sort of inspiring backstory that really secretly makes it about knitting.
Yeah.
Not so secretly makes it about knitting, actually.
No. What's funny is I keep looking at the cover on for Buster Keaton's The General, and it's like, and with this story, and it weirdly all makes sense the way I'm envisioning it in my head. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like him perched on anyway.
Yeah, him holding onto the train.
Yeah.
I feel like it needs to end with the train sequence at the end.
It does.
As an ultimate Buster Keaton homage.
Oh, dude. So there's the main bad guy. Okay, so this compound has no direct link to the internet itself. If it takes place in the 90s especially, we can do this.
Yeah.
It has no direct link to the outside world. The only way is there's a train that connects from the building to the like parking area or whatever, like the actual like
I love that.
Atrium,
it's in like
lobby.
a large, like Apple size, like big compound that has,
and there's
like
a building that's called the Atrium.
The one main building that they're in, but then there's a big train that goes around the whole compound into the.
Yes. And the train goes to what they call the building called the Atrium, which is where everybody parks. That's where you enter to go to the compound, and the only way into that main building is on that train. Mm-hmm. And so the bad guy has the floppy disk or the USB drive that has this tech on it.
I really like floppy disk, and I really like the idea that they might for these great prosthetic limbs that they're making, that they're trying to make bionic by connecting to the brain. If there's some sort of floppy disk tech that they have to use within those as well.
Oh yeah,
it's really funny to me.
That's the software.
You have to boot it up, and it takes a while. It takes a few seconds for it to load up, and
with beeping bar status
then we
bars.
have our slow status bar that's like slowly filling, that they're racing against time at the end.
It's one rectangle at a time that it's filling up.
Exactly. I like that. We have a bad guy that he's got
to be somebody personal. It's got to be his best friend. I don't want it to be a boss. I don't want it to. I want it to be like a double cross at the end.
Their goal is to basically use a technology that our protagonist has developed for basically like for his own good. some way.
he wants to use it for so like what the cliche thing
For money, maybe, or for
the cliche thing
profit.
would be like, oh, we're gonna militarize this,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that. Like I want
totally.
to allude to it, but I don't want to straight up do it.
Yeah. I think
I want
just generally to sell it to the highest bidder for profit and no matter, what so maybe there's a big corporation or something that's lining up to buy it to use it for, because I think our protagonists, the good, like they want to use this technology specifically for people that are, why am I blanking on words? This is terrible.
Oh, like people with disabilities.
People with disabilities and like bad guy, I feel like it just need to be inverse. And yeah, you are right. The militarizing it would be the sort of cliche bad guy motive, but it could just be for profit or for whatever. But it ends up going way wrong. But because he's in too deep, he has to continue on with his evil plan or whatever, even though it looks like these corrupted code is going to turn this technology against humankind or whatever, Skynet style.
Yes. I just realized we have okay, here's my question though. We definitely want there to be a floppy drive, like a floppy disk to be thrown around on a train.
It's got to be.
Or plugged into a train. You want him to control the train or something. Like, here's my question. If it's on a floppy disk, why is it having to go through several stages of intranet security in this compound?
That's true.
Before it gets out.
It doesn't have to be.
Although what is cool is like if they have tech that in every doorway, every like airlock you go through or whatever, like through stages of security, it wipes any disk that's on you. Like it's like it does something that just like wipes every hard drive or disk if you walk through the doorways. And so the only way to get software out of that central core area
is via the train.
Well, is through the internet, through the intranet, like has to get through those layers of decryption and security out to the next stage. And so it goes out digitally through their like encryption, whatever, and then it can be physically transported out of the building on a drive onto a train and out to the atrium.
Yeah, that checks out. I think that checks out.
That checks out. Sure.
No, I'm thinking in my mind, it's the like classic dial-up sound as they upload this, these files to make it out to the outside world. And it's like, that's when you have the bars that are uploading it or whatever, because it's going to take forever on dial-up or whatever internet they actually have. I think there's drama and, inherent drama in that situation. Could you
have them on the train? So the train scene at the end, I'm loving the idea of, and in my head, it's this combination of Mission Impossible and the Ra's al Ghul, like the end of Batman Begins on the train, like, but I don't have to save you.
Let's the train destroy the...
Yeah, I love the idea of, it starts as and Speed. Speed's another thing I think of, the end of Speed. Mm-hmm, it starts as like that kind of a thing where it's like, it's two guys fighting.
I'm not wearing hockey pants.
Well,
Sorry.
Oh my God. Where this guy is trying to stop this other guy from taking this drive from this before. Basically, it's like them fighting with this floppy disk as the train makes its way to some area. And the idea of the train doesn't get to the atrium. But I guess what I'm saying is in this action scene, like a midpoint of this action scene itself in the third act could have the bad guy able to control the train, like, with the tech, like instead of beaming the tech out, he's actually just uses it to take over the train or something.
And maybe he has some sort of bionic connection with it through.
Yeah. No, it has to be hardwired, 100%.
Yeah. If all of our main characters in our kind of squad with our protagonists have prosthetic limbs that are also sort of bionic, cybernetically enhanced by this code, if our antagonist, maybe if he doesn't have a prosthetic, if there's some sort of glove or device that he can wear that's connected to or maybe some sort of, headpiece or something like that is connected to his brain that he could connect the technology.
You know what I think? What if it's just like in E.T. where he's got the sensors like all suction cup to him. Like, what if it's that? Like, just all
That's
over,
very
like
cyber thriller style too.
And what's cool is it's like it still frees them up to be themselves.
The antagonist can shave their head and put it on their bald head.
But if it's just like a section, like a specific section of a section of his hair, sticks it there, it's stuck here as well. I'm imagining like a dude in a suit with like just a bunch of like wires coming off him, but no like real machinery. And then they're able, like, you're able to still fight with that on.
That's like the final act of the picture is when he unleashes his true power and puts all that stuff on, and can control all the devices within the compound. But the train being the main sort of the final, that's really cool, and it gives it makes it a true cyber thriller bad guy. But his goal at the end, other than getting this technology out and proving that it is controllable.
Maybe he's got a buyer. Maybe he's just like he's a corporate spy and he's got a buyer. That's like, and he got corporate espionage built in.
For the train though, is he trying to get it out? Is he trying to go to the parking lot to get it?
He's trying to get it to the Atrium where he can
take out the floppy out of the train. To go to his car and drive out and give it to the buyer, almost like Dennis Nedry. Like he's got to get out of the compound to sell it to his buyer or whatever.
Although now I'm like, is it more interesting if getting it out of the? Oh crap! Getting it out of there is more interesting of a goal for the protagonist, because imagine just like getting that train driven straight into the Atrium, coming out, holding this drive and just ending the movie with, after all of this insanity, getting in a car and driving away with the floppy in your hand, the only copy of this thing.
That is pretty good.
Badass and cool.
So the antagonist wants to keep it internal so that, because the protagonist can, the whole movie can be, the antagonist is trying to keep this inside, copy it, sell it, the corporate thing. And he realizes that this thing it's supposed to be used for good will be used for bad. So I need to delete all the copies except this one on this floppy and get it out.
And to get it through, we have to get it through the system. We have to get it through this weird back channel door where it won't get copied. And for some reason, the only route is through all of the testing protocols and procedures and out through, I don't know, but...
So we have all of our different devices and levels that we can have these Buster Keaton-esque set pieces with him. And have we decided if it's a him or a her?
It's cool both ways. I think if it's a her, it feels a little like Portal. Like, it feels like we're just stealing Shell, which is the name of my documentary about the making of this film. How about this?
I think
we have
give her. Sorry,
well,
go ahead.
Can we make her a person with a disability? Can we actually have...
That's what I was saying.
Here's what I'm getting at. Third act, she's got to lose whatever bionic limb she relies on or something and has to make it out of there without the assistance of that.
I think maybe it's an arm.
I think it's an arm?
Yeah. And I think her friends, there should be like a friend in a wheelchair that's getting bionic legs, maybe a friend, and they all have sort of different disabilities. Everybody that's working on this specific project for people with disabilities.
It's an entire team,
Yeah, if there's like 3 or 4 of them. And that way we can have lots of fun, sort of not making their disability sort of, actually kind of making what would look like a disability a strength in these specific scenarios in the different levels.
Well, that's the thing. There's it's like there's the empowerment of making the disability a strength, but there's also the empowerment of, I think it depends character to character. I think some characters you make it a strength and some characters you don't even talk about it. Like,
yeah,
I think if we have it where every character with a disability in our story is given their worth through their disability, I think that's in a weird way equally insulting, maybe. Like, and maybe.
I don't want to come off as very insulting. This is probably our episode where we probably sound the most insulting.
That's what I'm a little worried about. We sound the stupidest.
But if there's a blind person on the team and they're doing like a Buster Keaton-esque thing where they're walking through and there's like stuff falling all around them, the house that falls perfect. They fall perfectly.
Well, you're talking about Sneakers, where his name's Whistler in the film. He's blind. And he's kind of like the magical blind man character that happens in movies sometimes, where because someone's blind, they have extra, they have like extra powerful hearing
Matt Murdock.
But he's awesome, and there's a whole scene where he has to drive the van to the building to rescue.
That's right.
Robert Redford's character.
So maybe it wouldn't be as original, but I'm just trying to think of Buster Keaton-esque things that we can throw at these people throughout these levels.
To me, it's all about like the testing facility of it all. Like it's all about whatever kind of NASA type stuff we can NASA and car company like safety testing type stuff we can set up
totally
and make these like obstacle courses of danger and peril and put people on put the characters on those and make it to where like that they have to go through these things to get to
totally. I love it. So let's talk more like plot and structure, how we want to set up some of these more emotional themes too, because I think the knitting note, our wild card, I think it could start maybe, not that we need to start like day in the life, see the start of their day, but having some sort of flashback or it's starting with the more emotional core of this protagonist and their ties with what did we talk about? Possibly like a familial bond with
and I actually feel like you bring up that story around the midpoint-ish, or in like you bring it up in the Weirdsville section right after the midpoint.
So we start knowing that our conflict is mostly this.
You know how these movies start. These movies start with a corporate presentation. They all start with like it's a big exposition dump from the main characters. As he's presenting to the board of directors what they've been doing.
Yeah, it's Stilinski pitching the board on his new invention that is going to go wrong.
Now here's the thing: I've done this, and it's real easy to do wrong and get bad. And I did. I got it wrong, and I did it bad. And it was in a short called Tempo. One of the things that I wish I could go back and change about Tempo.
The slow-mo gun, right?
Yeah, Tempo's a slow-mo gun. No one's ever called it that. It's totally what it should have just been called. Slow-mo gun. It's also fast motion gun too.
That's true.
So that's a movie. That's like my biggest regret. That's like the thing that I wish I could go back and redo. Everything I've made. That's the one I can go back and redo. And here's what the main thing I would change
for the first minute of the film.
No, just in general the tone. I would completely change the tone. It's trying so hard to be this serious, dramatic sci-fi action short, and it should have been like everything else I write. The character should have been grounded and rooted. It should have been funny. It should have been like Portal 2 was, which is just this incredibly clever, incredibly funny script that surprises you with interesting story and character development.
Game's so good.
And that's what this should be. So like I think like this character and his team, I'm now immediately thinking there should be one guy who has no disabilities on the team, and he's like
a total idiot.
Yeah. Part of me is like he's a total idiot. It's like at this point, I would want to bring in someone to write this with us. Oh God, this is such a weird.
That has disabilities, so that
but then you're hiring them because they have a disability, which you don't want to like define someone by that. So like, I don't know how to.
But having it from the perspective of someone who has.
Here's the problem. We're doing a podcast where we have to write this in an hour, and we don't have time to do any research. We don't have time to talk to anybody, to visit any like. Yeah.
But if this was actually being made, there's no way we would do it without consulting someone who.
No.
Yeah, totally.
So I would pitch this with the disclaimer.
If there is someone out here that we're saying something, please let us know.
Please call in the hotline. Honestly, please call the hotline 1-866 HEY-WRGS. Is that right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Call 1-866 HEY-WRGS and please correct us and tell us what we're wrong about, and we will play it on air.
Also, if you're listening to this and our ideas are terrible, you have a better one, just call and let us know.
Still call that number. That number is really useful.
We're going to be playing your recordings more regularly on episodes. So please
especially after this one.
But yeah, let's talk about the knitting thing, because we have about 7 minutes left. So
what I was going to get to is like that's the thing that's motivating, and we find that out in the second half of Act 2, like in like a quiet period, and that's when we like learn what's motivating him to do all of this, and then that can be called back to at some point in the third act or something. But it's like that context is to me it matters the most when it's provided once we've gotten to know the character. If it's provided before that, it just feels like something we're trying to give the audience to make them care about a character. But if we can make them care about the character through the events of the first half of the movie and then provide this context, it suddenly goes deeper than they were expecting it to go.
Totally. I like that. So we start.
I railroaded you though. I'm sorry. Well,
no,
I
it's
feel
okay.
like you were going to say more.
No, I was just going to ask about, how we want to do that. Because I think I do like it taking place completely at this compound. Because I was going to say,
me too.
It could be nice to see some sort of familial bond with our protagonist at home, or seeing like in real life how they use their prosthetics. Or you just had an idea, so I want you to say it.
I'm sorry I do that. I can't help it.
It's fun. This is on video now, so people can see you have that idea.
What I love, oh my God. He has something, some ugly hat, he or she has this ugly hat, ugly scarf, something that was knitted by whatever character we're talking about. That's like a thing they have the entire film. Or they have like...
Love that.
So
I like a scarf. It's like flowing and it's
ugly. Like... It's got to be this like shitty knitted scarf that is special.
There needs to be like a pitch meeting at the beginning with them pitching the entire board, and like it's this incredible idea, and then it's just silence, and then like, what is that ugly scarf? Like it's like I'm immediately like a part of the conversation, and she's like trying to steer it back to her idea and all this stuff, and it's sort of a punchline. Or
doesn't wear the scarf, and it's like if the meeting doesn't go well, it's like I should have worn the scarf. I told like, no, you're not wearing the scarf,
but incorporate it into
And so then in the third act, they wear the scarf as like, and it's like it's meant to be this like, all right, I'm going to get the original sword or the original gun, or I'm putting on the original Spider-Man suit, but. Instead, it's this ugly scarf.
We play out the whole movie, and then we don't know what it is or why, and then we hear the importance behind it, why it means what it means, and then she puts it on, and we're like, oh shit, here we go.
But and what's great about it is it immediately also deflates any like coolness at the same time, because it's like it makes the bad guys take her even less seriously.
But I love that, because that's with the inspiring tone. I feel like that is what it's all about. It's like no matter how cheesy or how dumb it looks, like the meaning behind it and why she's wearing it makes it inspiring and hopeful. And
she uses it. It saves her life. It's got to save her life at the end. Like
that's fun.
Somehow.
Well, she's there's some sort of fight scene or tussle on the train, and I know we haven't landed on our character. I'm just going to say she's flung to the front of the train, and she's holding on to the front of the train as it's going full speed. And maybe she uses the scarf to like wrap around something and swing back.
Yeah, exactly. And like hold on, or like hold on to it while the train goes out around her. Yeah. Like,
and then she can, maybe that's it too. Like the train is like going full speed around the track, and it's passing the parking lot station or something. And she has to let go of the scarf to roll off and drive away with the floppy disk, but she has to maybe learn how to let go or something. If the scarf is like knitted by her mother that's died, and this is the final thing. I don't know. That's thematically we're going all over the place with the scarf now, but
that's fine. I'm all for it.
But yeah, I'm thinking if they're, because in the general, isn't the Buster's in front of the train? He's like laying down the train tracks, right? And then the train ends up taking him. I'm trying to remember. I'm watching the video right now, Buster Keaton in the train. So he's like, people loading up the train. It's crossing. Oh, this is the one where the train crosses the bridge and the bridge collapses, which is so freaking expensive. They just straight up like ruined a train. Okay, this is, I don't know. The homage is there. We don't have to match it exactly. Okay, we've got a minute and 30 seconds left. Any other story beats we need to go over? We might need a name for our...
Could we call it the Atrium, the movie?
The Atrium.
Is that like a good... Like, I feel like that's a weird sci-fi...
I don't know if it's cyber thriller enough.
You're right.
That could be our working title. Because we probably should have
What if it's a number 8 at the beginning? Atrium.
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 Let's yes, and our protagonist, we need to decide, let's make her female.
Yeah.
Let's make our antagonist a male. And maybe do we want to make them...
And they're best friends. We don't know yet, but their best friends are on the same team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe he's I like, maybe we could play up like a Jobs and Wozniak kind of situation. She is the brains, and then he's sort of she's the Woz, and he's sort of the Steve Jobs. He's more of a businessman, and he is basically they started the company together. He has become the CEO, sort of business corporate guy.
He's trying to keep it there, and she is more about like this. We're doing this because we love the tech. Is he the CEO? I feel like they really should just be at this mysterious. I feel like the company that owns this building, though. You tell me if you could totally fight me. The building is this big, mysterious, scary, like corporate entity, and they are just like a team that like they were bought, just like they were just bought out, like or
I like that.
They were a startup that was bought out and brought in, and now she wants
That's
to.
right, because he needs to be like sort of the, like I said, like Dennis Nedry style, like steal the thing and try to take it or keep it in there. Or he
wants to keep it. She wants to take it.
That's right.
But the idea is he's still wanting to climb the ladder at this corporation. He wants to he wants them to take them seriously. He wants them to. And it seems like that's a great trait that can be seen as a good guy trait for the majority of the movie before we realize he's the bad guy.
I love that.
Because he knows trying.
Even though if they keep it within the company, they're going to use it for bad. And it's not going to be used the way that our protagonist wants it. He knows that he can move up. He can make more money.
Him as Billy Crudup.
Totally. I could see that. Yes.
Yeah.
And we just need names. We're officially out of time, but I feel like we at least need. Have we already used Billy?
We haven't. We can call him Billy. Just say it's like a Billy Crudup type character.
Billy, and she is
not Michelle.
I was going to say Michelle.
Amelie. A name after one of our kids.
Amelie, yes, I love it. My 2-month-old child. Okay.
Wait, can we say that on the podcast? I didn't know if you're saying your daughter's name in public.
No, totally. Amelie.
Okay, cool.
This is her reveal. This is my baby reveal.
This is her name, her gender, and baby, and everything reveal.
Amelie Joy Polly. She's awesome. Okay, so we got our focus group. We're out of time.
Time to pitch your movie.
This is gonna be rough.
We can't do it until our robot lady says that we can.
Yeah, we can.
So let's do it. Let's get our focus group in here. He is a stuntman, actor, action designer in film, TV, video games. You might recognize him as the action and stunt guy in video games like God of War Ragnarok, which is upcoming. I think IGN actually just called God of War the best video game of all time. So that's cool because he plays the main character. But also he's been the action designer in films like Man Who Feels No Pain. He's directing action in films like Sorry to Bother You. There's so many things that this guy's been a part of. He's also co-founder and head of studio at Super Alloy Interactive. And my personal favorite, he was a stunt coordinator and actor in my film, Pizza Time. Welcome, everybody. Eric Jacobus to the podcast.
Thank you. I think Pizza Time is up there for sure. With all those.
Yes.
I love that's an amazing list of work, and then something with the name Pizza Time is also on there too.
Yeah,
so great.
Needs a little work with the name, Ryan.
I take pride in my simple short film name. The Pizza Time just sounded a little bit too complicated.
It's Pizza Time.
But that's the Marvel remake. Yeah.
But Eric, we've got a really fun film to pitch to you today. First, I'll release to you our assignment of what we were assigned by our random generator, the studio. They actually assigned us to make a cyber thriller, and the tone was inspiring. The target audience was fans of Buster Keaton, which works out because we're pitching to you, who's a big fan of Buster Keaton. And then our studio mandate was it needed to be an R rating. And so, and then halfway through the show, we got a wild card mandate that said the story needed to revolve around knitting. And so we've taken all of these disparate elements and created an incredible cyber thriller called The Atrium.
Atrium, okay.
So
which
Seth,
we have just committed to.
Which apparently we've committed to. Might be, if we think of something better, this episode might be called something else. But I'm going to hand it off to Seth to kind of start our pitch.
So the entire story takes place in, our main characters are, imagine like Zoe Saldana and Billy Crudup type types in these roles. The lead is this young woman named Amelie and her business partner, who we're just going to call Billy right now because we don't have a name. They are working at this. They're the leader. They're leading this team of like, I guess we'd call them. They're doing this like scientific research and development. It's this big like mysterious tech company. Like imagine like Aperture Labs from Portal. Essentially, is this company they work at. And kind of backstory to them is they developed this tech that their team heads up as like a small startup. They were bought by this large, foreboding Aperture Labs type company. And the bulk of their work is done at the center of this high security compound. The film, we should also point out, takes place sometime in the 90s. So tech in this world, in this movie, in this world is very 90s, and also very mysterious in the way the technology was allowed to be in the 90s.
So we're working with floppy disks.
I was going to say, you guys need to show some computers like this one. And
that's right.
Absolutely, we device. Yeah,
totally. We've got old CRT monitors, floppy disk, very early dial-up internet that's going to take forever to upload things.
Yeah,
of course. But what they're working on.
And now the compound that they're in, the whole movie takes place within this compound, within the specific building at the center. And the way this whole compound works is that there's no internet line into any of the buildings in the interior of the compound. Only way for any technology, any information to get in and out of this building is through the main entrance building called the Atrium, which is where the parking and everything is. It's where the main like reception is, and all the other buildings are accessible via this train that goes around the compound, like kind of like a monorail, like Disney World. And inside this main building,
does the train have internet? Oh, I'm
no.
sorry. This is the 90s. I forgot.
That's a great question.
But it is a very futuristic for the 90s train where it sort of has some digital interfaces in there with some computers.
It's self-driving, 100%.
You think you could run like a phone cord to it, though, right? Is that not possible?
That's just on a line, like rotating around the endangering everyone.
Kind of like a real, monorail with a little wire that comes down. It's like just run a phone line through there.
It could probably.
I guess not.
Yeah,
I guess not.
So this team,
it's in the movie.
They're inside this building. Okay, so the team themselves, they are developing this. Just imagine we've worked out all the scientific kinks here, but they are
basically
It's a technology that allows you to basically connect your brain into any kind of tech, and the intention is for bionic implants and things for those with disabilities. The idea is to enhance the lives of those with disabilities. It's actually very, very cool.
So think of your prosthetic arm or legs, or even prosthetic eyes and things that like are being able to work with your brain to bring those
with a direct line. But the danger is, of course, and something that they've started to figure out the company has intents to exploit is its ability to connect to any technology, like of any kind,
like a pager or a payphone or
a weapon or a tank, a bulldozer, anything like that. And so Amelie, one of the two business leaders of this team has decided that she wants to destroy all copies of this software. She basically gets to a point in Act 1 where she wants to destroy all copies of the software except for one, because she still believes that the software could be used for good, and has to get it out of this high security building that is full of all of these like 90s technology cyber methods and traps and security protocols that she has to get around, like checkpoints that will wipe any disks that you bring through them. And so she has to bring it through the network, through these back channels that lead them through these testing facilities. And I'll let Ryan take it from there to talk about kind of how the story plays out through that.
So that's sort of our setting and our the purpose behind our plot. Something about Amelie that's really interesting is in the beginning of the movie, we actually start the movie as she's pitching an idea behind this technology to suits at this company. And and she talks about the pitch just goes really wrong. Like classic movie pitches that Seth and me have given in our lifetime. We've given it, we feel very confident, and then it goes terribly wrong. She leaves the meeting, and we hear her talk about, like, man, I should have wore that scarf. Like, I should have wore my lucky scarf. The whole movie, she keeps on bringing up this lucky scarf. Something that, is important to us with this character in this movie is the idea behind this scarf that this character Amelie has. We kind of find out through the movie that it was actually knitted by her mother that she lost at a young age. And this we sort of hear from exposition from her that this scarf means a lot to her, and it's her lucky scarf. And when she wears it, things go right. And when she doesn't, things go wrong. But it's incredibly ugly. And often she's too embarrassed to wear it. She's embarrassed of her background and where she comes from.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, yeah, you understand now why I dress the way I dress, because I want to be incredibly lucky wherever I go. I apply it to my face too, so it works. It's true.
It's I look the way I look.
Your lucky beard. Just a fun little thing that's going to come back later. So they have, of course, we have Amelie, and then we have Billy, her best friend. And Billy, we find out throughout the movie, he wants to keep this technology, keep this, let's call it a code on this floppy disk within the company, because he knows that it's going to be their way to promote themselves within the company and basically have a more successful life. She knows that it's going to be used for bad. And so basically our main conflict is her trying to get this floppy disk out of the building, him trying to keep it in. And so Amelie and her squad of, there's 3 or 4 members on her team that they actually all have disabilities, except one guy.
Actually, the entire team, I think we decided, like, every team member they all have a disability of some kind, which we would intentionally cast with, like, people who actually have disabilities.
And basically, we sort of have this atrium where, as they move to the outside of the atrium to make it to the train to exit the compound, there's levels and levels of different devices within this atrium that Billy is using this technology to control the devices within these levels. And we have these sort of fun Buster Keaton physical comedy-esque set pieces of them trying to make it past these devices. So maybe one level is a crash test site where these cars and different obstacles are being controlled to try to block them. Maybe the next level is some sort of, I'm thinking of like appliances and different, basically think of your classic, Jackie Chan, it's basically you versus the environment.
Yeah, sure. Like the appliance aisle at Sears. And it's just kind of
coming to life.
Come to life. Yeah.
Yes. And this is a big tech company that is just like, each level is a different department of technology that we don't even understand how they have their hands in this. Like, why do we have an appliance section and also a car safety testing section and a construction site section and, like, underwater whatever.
And we've got sort of almost a ticking clock, knowing that it's getting this gauntlet is getting harder and harder until we get to the final gauntlet, which would be the train, which is actually, because it's digital and you're able to control it. Billy ends up trying to control the train. And we have our fun homage to Buster Keaton and our
the general. You have to have the general in there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so
I put that in my notes. Make sure you got that one.
Okay. Seth, do you want to kind of take it there to the end?
Well, yeah. So the idea is just to take them through this like nightmare Acme factory of obstacle courses, essentially. And whether or not we know the whole time that Billy is the one orchestrating, and the reason they have to go through all these obstacles is because the security system, like I said before, is this. It's designed in a way to where you cannot get like prepare all the proprietary software in and out of there without having to work really hard. And she's figured out how to sneak it through all these other networks in the building, but they have to like go to these different terminals to sneak it through these departments, and finally get it on a floppy disk at the end of all of it that she has to take on the train to get to the atrium and then get to her car and get out of there. And so that's like the end goal. And obviously in the third act,
scarf actually comes back to play in our third act set piece. The scarf.
Yeah, the idea is that on the train, like we have this big third act set piece on the train, like which we were talking about, of like having it start out as a, kind of like Speed, a good guy, bad guy fighting on a train over a device that they need, a floppy disk, whatever. But then halfway through, either the bad guy, we haven't decided if it's Billy or Amelie's characters, that one of them takes control of the train itself with the tech. Like instead of, they're actually able to put the floppy disk into the train and control it. And then so halfway through that whole set piece, it takes it totally reverses and becomes this thing where one of the characters is controlling the train. And the idea is we just run that train straight into the atrium, and she is able to save her life somehow with the scarf. So the idea is we want that scarf to be like the thing that
she's like riding the front of the train, like her scarf is kind of holding on to it. Maybe she falls to the side.
Yeah, it's something that physically is able to like save her. And then we just want to end with her like getting up, like she's crashed a train into the atrium. She's like demolished this like compound. She gets up. She can barely walk.
Apparently, it's very violent and bloody too because it's rated R.
Yeah, she limps into the parking garage, gets in her car with this floppy disk, and drives off and into the sunset. And that's the end of our movie.
Maybe your scarf. Maybe the reason it's so it's such a good scarf is because the mom knitted it from this like very rare yak from Morocco, and it's this like yak fur that's like steel. And it's like well known since the Bedouin thousands of years ago have been knitting with this, and like the wisdom was lost because they thought that we had caused the extinction of this yak, but she finds this yak and like builds this amazing scarf.
I'm all in.
Yeah, this is the monologue that we're hearing from her talking about the scarf.
I freaking love it.
Yeah, it's the yak sweater, which like makes it sound like someone yacked on it, so you can have like a vomit sort of pattern on it.
Yeah, it's got to be an ugly green, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And it just looks like that one of those barf things that you buy at the magic store that you throw on your friend's floor. And what she can do with that is like she can maybe she ties the train together with that thing, and that's what keeps the train from coming apart because it's so strong. It's just so strong.
I love it. Okay, so that's our movie. We have a few questions for you, Eric, and this is actually our first episode of season 2. We're incorporating a point system into our focus group. And so we're going to go through a few questions, and you're going to rate these few different things. So 10 points, rate 1 to 10. Would you see this movie?
1 to 10.
10 being the highest, you absolutely would. 1 being no.
It depends on what you're going to do with the R rating, right? Now, if your R rating is like this kind of modern style mean violence where it's just cruel violence where you're mean to people, then it's a no. Then
we want it to be an inspiring tone. That was part of the assignment.
But for example, if if one of the disabled people falls down and like breaks the arm, and she's just walking around and like, are you okay? There's a bone sticking out of your arm. She says, what? Oh yeah. I mean, that's happened to my other arm too. It's no big deal, right? That kind of stuff, I would see it. So I think that if you could nail the Keaton gags, for example, I would put perhaps a testing scene where like one of the rooms, like it's called the Hall of Walls, where like they just build walls there, right? But the walls have like different, like a door and a window and a prison wall, and like they keep falling and they have to kind of dodge. It's kind of like this game of Tetris before they get to the end. They have to climb through.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Have you used that in something? That's like the most brilliant idea I've ever heard.
The Hall of Walls.
The Hall of Walls.
It sounds like we're making this movie with Eric.
I'm sorry. I'm making it for the Hall of Walls alone. The idea of like a giant Tetris game you're playing in, and it's just walls.
Yeah, heavy duty walls that just fall on you.
I love it. It's in the movie.
And maybe one more change I would make is it shouldn't really be a floppy disk. You might want to make it a zip disk to make it a little bit more 90s.
Oh yeah, it's a little more sturdy and it carries more information.
Sturdy, but man, those things would break quick. So like, be careful with it. Yeah,
that's great.
I'm all for it. I'll put it at a 10 right there.
Wow. Love it.
Wow, 10.
I love this movie. I think this movie sounds fun, man.
Well,
also your heroes need to be vulnerable. Please make vulnerable heroes, like your female leads. Like, have them be vulnerable and have them not be angry. If this is inspiring, if you have angry, it's like, it just doesn't sound like an inspiring movie. I'm sorry. It's like,
no,
but if
Eric,
you have them be vulnerable and chasing something and they want to do it for good, then yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah,
you're speaking our language, bud. I promise.
Totally. Okay, so 10 out of 10, you would see this. So out of 10, would you recommend it to a friend?
It's tough. Like, well, I think a high quality friend who understands, good humor and likes that kind of thing. Absolutely. It might be a little bit, it might be niche slightly. It might be a little bit boutique, which is cool. You know what I mean? But maybe there's a little bit of limit with the appeal there. I could be wrong. Of course, being that I recommend animal crackers to people, and horse feathers. I recommend these movies to people too. So like, of course I'm going to recommend something like this, but in terms of its reach, it's like, well, I don't know. Is the contemporary audience really going to like this? But who cares? Screw them. Yes, I would recommend it.
How many points?
So what number?
Give it an 8.
Okay.
All right.
That's good. Adherence to assignment. So our genre was cyber thriller. Tone was inspiring. Target audience, fans of Buster Keaton. Studio mandate was an R rating. And our wild card was the story must revolve around knitting. So 10 points, adherence to assignment.
I would give it an 8 because you didn't quite nail the violence.
Okay.
That makes sense because I forgot about that mandate until Ryan said it in this pitch.
But you got the other 4.
Well, we have like 4 or 5 F words at least
that we didn't mention.
Well, put it in the pitch next time.
And then the final rating would just be rate the overall idea out of 10.
Like without my input or with my input?
I would say
we took all your notes.
We would absolutely incorporate your notes. Yeah.
I love this movie, man. Are we gonna do it? I'll give it a 10 if you say yes.
Yeah, if you can find us $200 million, we'll do it.
You don't need $200 million. Do it in mocap.
There you go. Yeah, animate.
Damn, yeah.
Do it in 3D. Screw it.
We can do it in 3D. Done. We're doing it.
Yeah, we got the studio here. We can mocap it for you.
You heard it. We just sold our first idea.
We're creating a 3D 3D mocap feature of the Atrium at.
So I'll put you down for a 10, Eric, on their overall idea.
Let's do it.
Right.
Awesome. So that's out of 50, we got a 46.
36. Right?
46 is solid. Yeah. 36 out of 40. Yes.
36 out of 40.
Now, on Ryan's ability to add numbers on math, what would you give a 1 to 10?
Easily a 1.
I'd give him a 90%, which would be a B.
Oh, good.
The Writers' Room Game Show with me, Ryan Pauly, and Seth Worley. Executive produced by Grant Wakefield at Weekend Video and Ann Fogerty at Plot Devices. Edited to perfection by Rene Gomez. Our art is by your buddy, Meg Lewis, and our face-melting music is by Ben Worley. The Writers' Room Game Show is a Weekend Video production in association with Plot Devices. Learn more about Weekend Video at weekend.video and check out writersroomgame.show to listen to all of our episodes and suggest your own prompts for future shows. And don't forget to rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts. It really helps our show out a lot. See you in the next one.